Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune. Yes, I know I'm late, I've been very busy. But anyway, screw the haters, we're wrapping up the best month of the year, in December, with my review for Astoria by Marianas. You know, I wonder just how many people watching this video were introduced to the band through this album. My guess is most of you, considering many music critics, including myself and Spectrum Pulse, named this as one of the best albums of 2015. And personally, it could not have come out at a better time. In autumn of 2015, I was at an all-time low, stuck in college in a course I hated, and with no idea how to get out of my situation. Those months were definitely rough, but this album helped me get through. It brightened up every single day considerably. Heck, it actually may have had a chance to top my list of the best albums of 2015 if I Love You Honey Bear by Father John Misty hadn't narrowly beaten it out. And since then, this album has only grown on me. It really is wonderful. But to review this, we also need a bit of context. Due to Josh Ramsey's personal life going haywire, including his engagement getting cancelled, the band hadn't really been inspired to make new music in about 4 years. However, they hadn't been idle either, as in the meantime they'd had their biggest boost to the spotlight yet, in the form of one of the biggest monster hits of 2012, Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. Yes, Josh Ramsey from the mostly underground pop rock group Marianas, who had only really seen success in Canada up till that point, co-wrote and produced one of the biggest hits of the past few years. Needless to say, it definitely got the band some attention, and their next single was meant to capitalize off that. Not that I thought it was done on purpose, but that's exactly what Pop 101 did, getting them a ton of acclaim and being my personal introduction to the band. And from there I looked into the rest of their work and, well, the rest is history. And considering this was heavily inspired by 80s fantasy as well as the film The Goonies, this was bound to work for me from the very beginning. And as I and many other fans would discover, it completely blew our expectations, especially in terms of its intricacy and ambition. So let's not waste any more time, let's dive in. So some of you may remember that back in 2015, this didn't actually make my top 50 songs of the year. And I honestly have no idea why, because if I were to remake that list, it would be number 3, only one slot lower than The Blacker the Berry by Kendrick Lamar. I mean, talk about an album opener. I can think of very few projects that start off quite as strong as Astoria because the title track is flat out brilliant. It starts out with a slow build of keys and drums, then Josh's voice bursts out to join them, as it all just builds and builds until the instrumentation reaches its first peak with another one just a minute later, with the guitars roaring and the backing vocals crying out to join Josh's voice. And then you have the multi-tracking on this song, which is just amazing, as it goes through so many harmonizations and vocal effects, almost as many as there are melodies and instrumentals on this track. It is rare for a band to even have one song that reminds me of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, but this band has two, with this one easily being a standout from the album and exactly the kind of welcome back we all needed. Absolutely epic track. Don't say you don't miss me that much. Don't say I don't still make you blush, 'cause my ears are burning, my ears are burning. So on Pop 101, the band got pretty meta, and as you should all know, that's something that I love in my music. And although they do tone it down on the actual album, there are definitely still traces of it. Take this track that flat out references the fact that it's new wave disco. The song is a ton of fun with a great synth melody and a ridiculously catchy chorus, and lyrics about, what else, the death of disco. A genre that many mock and say they don't miss it, and yet they do keep talking about it. And wherever it goes, the genre's ears keep burning up, because people keep talking about it, so was it really all that bad to begin with? I certainly don't think so, and this song doesn't either. And as usual for the band, it also doubles as a shy love song, so that's another reason to jam to this. Although maybe not quite as much as... Last words famous, I got to say this right here now. Tomorrow's a day away. Don't let go tonight, but tomorrow this will be yesterday. Yeah, speaking speaking of songs that are a ton of fun, here we get some punchy synth leads, horns, a thumping drum beat, and a style that may seem familiar to some of you. That of course being that this song is paying homage to new wave, specifically the song Footloose, which of course is one of the best dance songs of all time. I will fight you if you disagree. And in keeping with the theme of the film of the same name, this song spans across themes of love, taking risks, and not worrying about what tomorrow will bring. Yet another song that's just a ball to listen to, and it certainly won't be the last one.
And you've been wishing, but you don't know how to stay. And I've been broken, but I'm better every day. So don't stop, no stopping it yet. What if the one true love's the only one that you get? One left, yeah.
This was the official lead-off single for this album, and it is gorgeous. The instrumentation is forceful and atmospheric, perfectly matching the mournful desperation of the lyrics that cut so deep. Plus, the song just sounds beautiful, with Josh's voice blending phenomenally well with the backing vocals, and especially those elegant strings. And lyrically, the song explores the theme of love in the wake of a breakup, as our protagonist lies in bed wondering if the one true love's the only one that you get. In other words, whether he's had his chance at true love and now he's messed it up, never to be happy again. Heartbreaking, emotional, by far one of Marianas Trench's best, phenomenal songs. Here we have the first of our instrumental tracks, and that blend of strings and horns definitely does sound gorgeous, doesn't it? Not gonna say much about these tracks, but suffice to say they're all gorgeous and could soundtrack any fantasy or family film. The compositions are just incredible. On top of that, they give the album a great natural flow, with this one leading us into our next track.
Gotta get you under fire quick, brace for it. I'd rather be a riot than indifferent.
The band's first single not to cross over to the Canadian Hot 100, and honestly, I have no idea why. It's incredibly catchy, with a beat made up of guitars, percussion, a cowbell, and what I could swear is a xylophone, to create an incredibly playful melody that once again bursts out into a phenomenal hook. And lyrically, it has Josh declaring war against his loved one, because deep down, he admits that he does crave the conflict, as it keeps things interesting and gives them both a sick thrill. But the real hidden strength to this song that really makes it such a grower are the backing vocals, as they just add a ton of character to this track. Wonderful touch there. Here we get bells, as you'd expect, as well as a mournful piano line. And in the story of the album, which is based on a true story, this one has Josh laid out in his hospital bed, contemplating life since he got sick and his loved one left him. And this confused sentiment leads us into one of the most heartbreaking and essential songs of the band's career.
Maybe not the way we thought we planned, but both of us will take this hand for a couple of days and then we'll disappear. We don't have to talk of where we go from here. Oh, my dearly departed.
I've said this before about this song, but ukulele ballads are ridiculous and shouldn't be emotionally effective. And yet, this band pulls it off flawlessly. This song actually did make my top 50 songs of 2015, and it's only grown on me. Josh's performance is heartbreaking, and the blend of strings and ukulele is unexpectedly and unbelievably potent. But just like any fan of Marianas Trench, this song really hits me because of its bridge, which I'm going to break down for you here.
Every masterpiece I'd write again. You'll always be my porcelain. I crossed my heart, but I stuttered too. So true, the day was not good to you. Haven't had enough of you all to myself. Still right beside you in sickness and health. Forever after you will be my home. And there's no place like home.
Here, Josh names 11 songs from his last couple of albums, all of which were written to his fiancée who left him before this album was conceived. And so, especially with the following lines about having all the cards on the table and not really being able to throw them out, you could easily see this as a metaphor for him letting her go once and for all. One of the most powerful moments in music history. I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise. So unlike the last interlude, this one feels more upbeat, as if you're coming out into the light, which is pretty fitting after the last song. And after coming into the light, we need a song that is as ridiculously fun and upbeat as it gets.
You say you'll never take me, say your mama hate me. Or you could just shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Shut up and kiss me, shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Shut up and kiss me.
So remember what I said about this album being meta? Well, many of you may have noticed that this song sounds a lot like I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. It even starts with the same piano flourish, and the melody is damn near identical. And it is a ton of fun, with new lyrics about throwing responsibility to the wind. And boy oh boy, if you want a prime example of an absolutely incredible slice of fun pop music, here it is. Heck, Josh even says at the end, it don't sound like Mike did, but hey, it's alright for a white kid, acknowledging the fact that they are sampling that song. And it's really saying something that by this band's standards, this song is just that, standard. If you want something that carries a bit more of a punch...
Well, I've been deep in this sleeplessness, I don't know why. Just can't get away from myself. When I get back on my feet, I'll blow this open wide and carry me home in good health. Screaming, who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love?
The video for this is genius and adorable. Plus, it even gave the band some much-deserved chart success once again. And the song itself is wonderful. The melody is upbeat and heartwarming as it just puts a smile on your face, with the drums in particular being especially potent. The band actually recruited a bunch of drummers who they've worked with in the past to record this, and it really does sound phenomenal, especially on the bridge. The harmonies, as usual, are incredible, and lyrically it has Josh directly addressing his friends, his family, and his audience, promising them that he'll never retreat into himself for such a long period ever again. Because after all, those are the people he loves. He doesn't want them to suffer. In other words, yet another damn incredible song. The horns and strings on this song are fantastic, and out of all the interludes, I think this one transitions between the previous song and the next song best. And while that last song was fantastic, the next one is damn near transcendent.
I don't know how we could ever let this transpire. You know I thought this love would always burn like a wildfire.
Back in 2015, this was my favorite song on the album, and once again, since then, it's only grown on me. And this song was in my top 20 originally. There wasn't much room for improvement. The way it sounds is already fantastic, with the incredible crescendo and one of the most climactic choruses of the band's career, with the swell of strings, the phenomenal pianos and drums, and an absolutely breathtaking bridge. And lyrically, it throws another twist into the story as the girl who left Josh, who broke his heart, comes back. And while she asks him to take her back, and a part of him really does want to, another part of him is still really hurting and has grown wiser. And so he refuses, knowing that their love, while it does burn strong, is ultimately also a wildfire that will burn the world down. And that is how it's done, Alicia Keys. Incredible song, easily one of the band's best.
So sing it back if you're with me. I wanna hear how your heart speaks. Oh, how we're young, oh, how we're young. This should be the time of our life.
I remember the first time time I listened to this album, and this one being the second one that I heard from it, the first one being One Love. And boy is it epic. The shrieking synths and the tapping beat in the background that just crashes down on the chorus, the phenomenal bridge where that chorus of voices soothes you after that sharp hook. This song just feels massive, closing the door to the past in the best way it knows how, with a huge bang, then a whimper. Once again, incredible song.
Still need you, my friend, from the lines you amend to the cradle again. I'll be your forget me not.
Marianas Trench's piano ballads have always been incredible, but this one is especially striking. Mainly because of its simplicity, with just Josh and a piano with no added effects at all. And yeah, to anyone who has ever doubted that Josh Ramsey is one of the best vocalists currently working in music, here's the song that will prove you so wrong. And lyrically, it's just so touching. While the last song ended things with this girl for good, this song has him admitting that he'll never entirely forget her. Instead, he's going to cherish their memories together and not let the grief rule over him. Hell, he's not even going to cut her off completely, instead keeping her in the back of his mind, but still at a healthy distance, remaining friends but never lovers again. Very mature and a gorgeous song to boot. Of course, as the final instrumental piece, it needs to end like a wonderful symphony. And as we all ride off into the sunset, we get our final epic track. About this song is a little hard for me. It's not as good as Masterpiece Theater 3, but it's still amazing in all of the same ways. The chorus of vocals that transitions into a soft, plucking build, that gently builds and builds with the ghostly backing vocals. The lyrics are full of callbacks to the rest of the album, and the crescendo is fantastic as Josh screams out, "Goodbye, Astoria," and the horns break out majestically yet again and create a fantastic cushion for the vocals, before once again breaking into a ghostly atmosphere that is drop-dead gorgeous. Until finally, along with the drums, the electric guitars burst free yet again. Only for the music to be cut off again by one fantastic riff that builds to our final climax, where the instrumentation and the vocals break through in a gigantic roar that calls back to the first track. And finally, we have the spoken part where Josh paraphrases Shakespeare, closing the door on Astoria once and for all. Incredible closer as usual, gentlemen. Well done. So that was Marianas Trench's Astoria, and you can definitely see why it gives Masterpiece Theater some competition. And while I do stand by that album is better, as well as I Love You Honey Bear by Father John Misty for that matter, the ambition is off the charts, the music is simply epic, and the songwriting is at an all-time high. If you want a prime example of Marianas Trench's pop rock opera, this is it right here, and I could not ask for anything better. So yeah, if you haven't guessed yet, 10 out of 10, easily one of the best albums I've ever heard. For the record, this is the only act in music that has ever had more than one 10 out of 10 for me, and I could not be prouder. Fingers crossed that their next album, apparently set to come out in 2018, will live up to the hype. But honestly, they probably won't top themselves, and at this point, I don't think I need them to. Phenomenal in every way, an essential listen. So, those were my reviews for Marianas Trench. Again, sorry this was late, I've been moving house as you can clearly see, and it's exhausting in so many ways. Still, next you'll get Record Roundup number 13, followed by the year-end lists. And I'm really excited for those, even if the writing and the editing are going to be a chore. But hey, if you don't want to miss those, leave a like if you enjoyed, please subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tunes, signing off.